Hello and welcome back to the channel. So a few weeks ago I was recommended this video called 4 genres in 1 drop, so that's where I got the idea from. Now this is really just something I threw together yesterday, but I thought maybe you guys might want to hear it. Admittedly, my drop is 4 times-ish as long as the one in his video, but you know, it is what it is. Anyways, you guys probably want to hear what this sounds like, so let's just take a listen. Sorry for the little bit buggy CPU at the end, but it is what it is. If you just came here to hear how the drop sounds like, well then have a nice day. I'll be seeing ya. But for those of you guys who want to, you know, get a little insight on how I made this, well, you might want to be sticking around because that is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the video. So the first thing, which was actually the last thing I did, was this build up. Pretty simple. We have these snares over here. This, which I took out from the drop, and I'll get to how I made that when we get to that part of the drop. This is just an init preset, like Serum's initial preset, and then a reverse crash. And really the only thing of note is that I bandpassed the buildup, so that's how we get that effect, and you'll just be able to take a look at it right here. So that's how we got that effect. Now let's jump right into the drop. As far as the drums go, really all of these drums are cymatics, and it's usually either trap drums or dubstep drums. Right here we got some trap going on. Really just a basic trap beat, nothing special. Over here, you know, the dubstep part. The little wow wow wow, the first thing you hear. Really not too complicated of a sound to make. So basically, it's just the initial preset. And then we have this little LFO going on, which is automating this low filter right here. Sorry for that taking a little while to go. Computer's not necessarily the best, but you know, it does the job. So this gives it each little wah its little opening. And then the other thing that I'm automating here, aside from the compression, is this second filter that opens it up over time. So that's how we get this. Over here we got 2 parts. The first part is this little white noise splash from cymatics that gives it a little more impact. Then the next thing over here, the main sound. And as you can probably see over here, this comes from 3 different sounds together. Here's the first one, the main bass. So how I made this, the reason why I chose these wavetables is because I like the names. I put an all pass filter because an all pass always makes something sound like really aggressive and gritty. Really the only 2 things of note is I'm automating this effect. PWM, I really have no idea what it means, but basically what it does, it like high passes it among other things, and then when you automate it, that gives it a bit of a tack so that you can hear when each note starts. And then the other thing is that I'm automating the coarse pitch right here, so that's why it's pitching up. So that's the first sound. Second sounds like a riser with white noise. I chose these 2 because once again I like the names. And the only other thing that's going on is that I'm also actually automating the detune, so not only is the coarse pitch getting higher, but it's also getting more detuned as well. The last bit to this sound is just a sub. The only special thing This is actually a sub that you can find in Serum. It's my go-to sub. The only other thing I did is I added this extra oscillator, which is just an octave higher, so it sounds like this. And then all together. So that's how I made that first trap bit. Then for the kind of Brostep section, how I made this, everything's LFO'd, so there's volume automation going on. 3 sounds. This first one is the same bass as the other one, just with the volume automation. This guy over here should also look familiar because it's just the sub bass, but with, again, a volume automation. Really the main sound that you hear is this one. If you want to know why I chose these sounds, once again it's because I like the name. Scream Machine sounds really gritty, so I wanted a gritty sound here, so that's what I did. All passes to make it sound horrendous. Really the only thing of note here is if you don't know what hyper dimension is, basically it makes the sound really wide, so without it, it sounds much thinner. But with it on, it makes it much more stereo, and it gives it a lot more width. Now for this second part, it's very similar, only difference is in the drums. First thing I did is I added this water drop from a Cashmere sample. I love it, and it works well with the snare. And then the only other thing is that I have these, you know, sprinkly hi-hats right here. And then the only difference in this part is one of these is an octave up, but it's almost impossible to tell. And then right here I just added these hi-hats. And then the last thing that's different is that I have this little fill at the end. Also came from a Cashmere sample pack. It sounds like this. But I only took the last bit, gives it a lot more energy, a lot more flow, and it works nicely. Now for this Psytrance part. You can see over here that they came out of 4 components, 3 of them flex. So this is just a preset bass called Analog. This one is called Dark Chocolate. Gives it a bit more of that high, but not, you know, like white noise high, but a little bit of that higher end. This one's called DX Synth Bass. I just found these by going alphabetically and clicking on the ones I liked. Evidently it didn't take me too long to find good ones because we only got down to D. And then the last thing is the sub, but I also put a white noise on it, you know, to kill 2 birds with 1 serum. Just the sub, and then just the white noise. The other thing which you guys probably heard is right here, like this vocal chop. Basically, it comes from this ethnic loop from Cashmere's sample pack. Once again, here's how it sounds like by itself. And then with the stretching and repitching to make sure it's on key, here's how it sounds. And then the only thing that I did here is I just isolated one of the vowels and then just cut it so that it's in the same rhythm as the basses. So together. So for this bit, these sounds are the same. The only difference is that right here, basically just bounced this out, and then I chopped it in so that it would be the same pattern as the basses. So that's the Psytrance bit. Now for this Jersey bit right here. So the sounds are all the same. The only difference is difference in drum pattern. Also for these Psytrance kicks, they're actually not really Psytrance kicks, they're just the trap kicks again. Thought it worked well. Same fill that I used earlier, and then this I just extended the release of it a little more. Now here's where things get interesting. Here's the trance bit. So you'll notice that I have this little bounced out sample. The only reason why I have this here is because the plugin that I was using, which I'll get into when I talk about the basses, took a whole ton of CPU, so I actually did have to freeze these, or else my computer would probably be dying. Here's how it sounds. No sound design going on here because they're just presets from the plugin. The other thing is that I put a layer of it that's an octave higher, and I know it won't sound good by itself, but it actually does sound good together, which is kind of the wacky thing about music. But here's how it sounds like. Sounds super stretched out, but it actually does make a difference when you're playing the chords by themselves. Hopefully you guys can hear that. And then for this bit, I added reverb to these chords and then just reversed it and faded it in. Now for the other stuff that's going on here, as far as the trance kicks go, it's not actually trance kicks, it's just the dubstep kicks once again. This has 5 layers. The first one is the one that we were looking at before, which is just the sub and the white noise. Over here we have huge chords, but really it's just like 3-4 notes for each one in different octaves. Not really super intense sound design either. 2 of the initial presets, 1's an octave higher, raise the unison, 7's the magic number, comb filter because why not, distortion to make it a little louder but not like super distorted, just a soft clip, and then compressor. That's about it. 2 basses which were made using this plugin. It's a free plugin that I downloaded like a few years ago, but I never use it because it's only for trance, really. You can even see it's an advanced trance synthesizer, and you know, just looking at it, the interface doesn't look too friendly, it doesn't look too clean if I'm being honest, but if you're using it for trance, it does work. So I mean, it's free. I wouldn't recommend it if you don't make trance, but if you do make trance, maybe it's worth giving it a shot. They have good presets like this first one. And then this one, which I know will sound almost exactly the same, but trust me, it's different. And then together. Does it sound like there's no change? Yeah, but let's not worry about that. And then this last bit, which is playing the melody over here in 2 different octaves. If you're wondering how I made such a beautiful and majestic sound, I didn't. It was another preset on this T-Force Alpha Plus plugin, which actually now I'm remembering that I think I actually got it from when Chill Pill made a video like this one, where he was talking about one of the plugins that he was using, and it was this one, so that's why I downloaded it. So this is the massive trance saw. That's what's playing that noise. Of course, all together, you get the overall trance section. Okay, now for the hardstyle bit. So that fills the same one that I was using before. As far as the kicks go, it's still the dubstep kick, except I just put it through a Camel Crusher distortion. It's free, it's good, I use it for everything that I want to sound super distorted, and really there's no reason to not have it. It's free, it's good, get it. You'll notice that I also bounced something in here because CPU was also kind of dying over here. But this is just the lead, it's just a detuned sound, nothing much, and then of course reversed it. A little bit of LFO there too. So now if we look over here, the majority of the sounds here are the same as in the trance portion, like the sub and white noise. And the basses are the same as well. Only other stuff is these offbeat chord stabs to give it more substance. I know they look huge, but they're really not. It's just 3 notes and then one that's an octave higher than the other. If you're wondering why it sounds super distorted, it's because I distorted it. And then the last thing is this extra bass, which I made in Serum, not a T-Force preset like the other ones. So if you're wondering how I made this, of course, you probably already know why I chose these two in particular. It's because I like the name. All passes so that it sounds horrid, distortion, diode, and then compressor. And then all together. Alright, now just got this last, these last portions. So first we have the future bass bit with the same trap drums and white noise splash. 4 sounds in here. First one's sub and white noise. This is looks like a huge chord, but really it's just 4 notes, no, 3 notes. F sharp, D, and B, but on a whole ton of octaves. And then how I made this, really complex sound design, guys. Init preset, this one's octave higher, 7 unison, hyper, compressor. Over here is a bass I made a few months, maybe a year ago, which I really made on accident. 2 waveforms chosen randomly. But really the thing that's doing the whole entirety of the work is this diode here. Take a listen. Without the diode distortion, it loses all its power. It doesn't even feel like a bass anymore. And then the last thing, the sprinkly arp. Same sound that I used for this other part too. You're probably wondering how I made such a beautiful, majestic arp. Must have taken hours and hours of sound design, and it's true. It really did take a long time to open up the initial preset and then put a compressor on it. Really the thing that makes the whole difference is just using these super fast notes. I put it on quarter step, which is almost the lowest that you can go. So that's what gives it that glittery kind of feel. So for the drums in this breaks section, just the dubstep drums, but playing a different breakbeat pattern. I just have these cymatics drum and bass top loops that I stretch to fit the tempo. So together, and then with the drums. Gives it that breakbeat vibe. And then the other thing that you might notice over here if I turn the ARP off is, take a listen. So while over here it was sustained, over here it has the volume automation, and I'm just automating the rate. So over here it kind of bounces every quarter beat, I believe, and then here it speeds up to every 8th beat. And then, of course, here's how it sounds in total. And then this is the same except different drums. These are in halftime, and then I put the fill right there. Let's take a listen to the end of it. But yeah, it's the exact same pattern and everything. So for those of you guys who actually were interested in hearing how this song was made and watched this far, I hope you guys, found something interesting, maybe learned something, I don't know. At least I hope you found it entertaining at the very least. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to go over. Take care, and I'll be seeing you.